When someone who fears closeness pulls you into a hug and doesn't let go, that silence between heartbeats might be louder than any love confession. Love is often loud, expressive, overflowing with words and gestures. But loving an avoidant soul is like reading poetry written in invisible ink. You don't hear declarations. You don't see dramatic displays. Instead, you learn to listen to pauses, to glances, to the quiet language of restraint. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you feel it in a hug. I once knew someone whose heart was a locked room. Not because he didn't feel deeply, but because feeling deeply frightened him. He laughed easily, spoke kindly, stood beside me in silence, but never stepped too close. His emotions lived behind careful walls, guarded like secrets he wasn't ready to confess. Loving him felt like standing on the shore, watching waves approach but never reach my feet. Then one evening, something changed. We were saying goodbye like always, simple, polite, distant. But as I turned, his hand caught mine. Not tightly, not urgently, just enough to stop time for a breath. And then he pulled me into a hug. Not the kind people give out of habit. Not the quick, friendly embrace shared between acquaintances. This one was different. His arms wrapped slowly, almost cautiously, as if he were asking permission without words. And when they closed around me, they didn't rush to let go. In that moment, I realized something most people never notice. When an avoidant person hugs you with softness instead of distance, it means their guard has slipped. They don't hold on unless their heart is already holding you. His chin rested lightly near my shoulder. I could feel his breath steady, like he had finally stopped running from something. Avoidants don't linger unless they want to stay. They don't soften unless they trust. And they don't hold close unless they care more than they're ready to admit. There was hesitation in him, yes. A quiet trembling in the way his hands rested on my back, as if he feared I might disappear if he loosened his grip. That hesitation wasn't uncertainty, it was vulnerability. The kind that only appears when someone who fears attachment begins to surrender to it. People think love is proven through grand gestures. But with someone like him, love is hidden in restraint. It's in the way his hug tightened slightly when I shifted, like his heart whispered don't go yet. It's in the extra second he stayed after I pulled back, eyes searching mine as if memorizing something he didn't want to lose. That hug said everything he couldn't say aloud. It said I'm scared, but I'm here. It said I don't understand these feelings, but they're real. It said you matter more than my fear of closeness. And that's the thing about avoidant hearts, they don't open like doors. They open like dawn, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until suddenly the light is everywhere and you realize it's been rising all along. So if someone who usually keeps distance holds you like that, gently, carefully, longer than necessary, don't mistake it for something small. Because for them, that hug isn't casual affection. It's courage, it's confession, it's attachment spoken in the only language they trust, the language of touch. In every love story, there is always one person who loves like an open flame, and another who loves like hidden embers. Loving someone with an avoidant heart feels like standing beside warmth you can sense but rarely see. They are kind, present, attentive in their own quiet way, yet careful not to cross invisible lines of closeness. Their laughter may fill the air, their presence may feel comforting, but their touch is usually measured, brief, almost symbolic rather than expressive. That is why when an avoidant person hugs you, truly hugs you, it is never something ordinary. For most people, a hug is a greeting, a farewell, or a reflex of politeness. For them, it is a decision. They do not step into closeness without thinking. Their arms do not wrap around someone unless their heart has already taken a step forward. They are the kind of souls who protect their inner world like a fragile glass sculpture, afraid that one careless moment of vulnerability might shatter something they spent years learning to guard. So when they choose to hold you, even for a moment, they are quietly placing trust in your hands. There is something almost poetic about the way it happens. It isn't rushed or careless. It's slow, as if time itself pauses to watch. Their body language speaks in whispers. The slight hesitation before their arms lift, the careful distance that closes inch by inch, the soft exhale when contact is made. To anyone else, it might look simple. But to someone who understands them, it feels like witnessing a rare sunrise after a long night. That hug carries meaning because it costs them something. It costs them control, composure, the safety of emotional distance. Avoidants do not give physical affection freely because touch has a way of dissolving walls words cannot. When they hold you, they are stepping outside their comfort zone, letting their guard lower just enough for their feelings to breathe. It's not instinct for them, it's bravery disguised as tenderness. And if you pay attention, you notice the difference immediately. Their hug isn't loose or distracted. It has intention. Their hands don't hover uncertainly, they rest with quiet certainty, as if memorizing the feeling. Their posture softens, their breathing steadies, and for those few seconds, the world around you seems to fade, leaving only the silent conversation between two hearts standing closer than they ever have before. There are people who speak love fluently, who let affection spill from their lips like music, who confess their feelings with confidence and ease. And then there are those whose hearts speak a quieter language, one made not of sentences but of gestures. Loving an avoidant soul means understanding that words are often the last place their emotions appear. They may care deeply, intensely, even fiercely, yet when it comes to saying it, their voice hesitates, their thoughts retreat, their lips choose silence. But what their voice withholds, their arms sometimes reveal. An avoidant man does not easily translate his feelings into speech. Emotions feel too exposing, too risky, too revealing of a vulnerability he has spent years trying to protect. So he learns to hide affection behind calm expressions, neutral tones, and careful distance. To the outside world, he seems composed, steady, untouched by emotional storms. Yet beneath that calm surface lives an ocean of unspoken attachment waiting for a safe moment to rise. That moment often appears in a hug. When he wraps his arms around you, something shifts that words could never accomplish. His body speaks truths his mind is still trying to understand. The way his hold tightens slightly without him realizing, the way his shoulders relax as if they've finally set down a heavy weight, the way his breath slows when you're close, these are confessions no sentence could capture. His arms become honest in ways his voice is afraid to be. You might notice how different his hug feels from anyone else's. It isn't casual, distracted, or routine. It feels intentional, like a quiet decision made in the deepest part of his heart. There's a steadiness in it, a silent reassurance, a warmth that lingers even after he lets go. It's as though every emotion he struggles to say travels through that embrace instead, wrapping around you in invisible meaning. He may never say, "I'm attached." He may never openly admit how much you matter. But when his arms hold you with softness instead of caution, when they linger instead of retreat, when they pull you just a little closer than necessary, they reveal a truth he cannot easily voice. In that silent closeness, his guarded heart speaks freely, confessing affection in the only language it fully trusts. There is a delicate moment that often goes unnoticed in a love story, a moment so brief that most people miss it entirely. It happens right before an avoidant person hugs you. To others, it may look like nothing more than a pause, a simple shift in posture, a fleeting second of stillness. But to someone who truly sees them, that hesitation carries the weight of an entire emotional battle. Because for an avoidant heart, closeness is never automatic. It is chosen, and choice requires courage. He stands there, close enough for your presence to stir something inside him, yet far enough to keep his defenses intact. His eyes may soften for a fraction of a second. His shoulders might subtly tense, as if he's standing at the edge of something unknown. In that pause, his mind races through feelings he rarely lets himself acknowledge. Part of him wants to step forward, to close the distance, to let his guard fall just long enough to feel what his heart has been quietly holding. Another part urges caution, reminding him how safe it is to remain composed, untouched, protected behind emotional space. That hesitation is not doubt about you. It is the echo of every wall he has ever built to protect himself. Avoidant souls learn early that vulnerability can feel overwhelming, that closeness can feel like standing too near a flame. So when he considers reaching for you, even for something as simple as a hug, he is crossing an invisible line that most people never notice exists. His pause is the moment he decides whether to stay safe or to be real. And then, almost imperceptibly, something inside him softens. His arms begin to move, slowly, as though they're testing unfamiliar air. The distance between you fades inch by inch, not rushed, not careless, but intentional. That tiny delay before contact makes the embrace more meaningful than any spontaneous gesture ever could. It shows that he thought about it, felt it, chose it. It shows that his heart spoke louder than his fear, even if only for a few seconds. When his arms finally wrap around you, that earlier hesitation lingers like a whisper within the hug itself. You can feel it in the gentleness of his hold, in the careful way he draws you close, in the quiet sincerity that replaces his usual restraint. Because that pause before the embrace wasn't emptiness, it was a silent storm of feeling, a private decision to let someone step past the borders he rarely allows anyone to cross. There is a subtle kind of magic hidden in time, especially in love, because sometimes a single second can reveal more truth than 1,000 spoken promises. When an avoidant person hugs you, the length of that embrace tells a story his lips may never speak. Most of the time, his hugs are brief, careful, almost polite, as if he is honoring closeness while still respecting the safe distance he prefers. He lets go quickly, returning to the calm composure that feels familiar to him. But every so often, something shifts, and the moment stretches. You feel it before you even understand it. His arms don't loosen when expected. His hands don't slide away right on cue. Instead, they stay, gently but deliberately, as though time itself has slowed just for him. That lingering is not accidental. It is not forgetfulness or distraction. It is a quiet decision his heart makes without announcing it to his mind. For someone who usually measures closeness carefully, staying longer than necessary is a silent act of bravery. In that extended moment, his guarded nature softens. The world around him fades into background noise, and the only thing that feels real is the warmth he's holding. Avoidant souls rarely allow themselves to fully settle into closeness, because closeness can feel like losing control. Yet when he lingers, he is letting himself experience something he usually resists. He is allowing comfort to replace caution, presence to replace distance, feeling to replace restraint. You might notice the small details that make that moment unforgettable. The way his breathing grows slower, sinking almost unconsciously with yours. The way his shoulders drop slightly, releasing tension he didn't even realize he was carrying. The way his hold becomes just a touch firmer, as if his heart is quietly saying stay, even though his voice never would. Those extra seconds become a language of their own, a language made of stillness and warmth and unspoken attachment. For him, letting a hug last is like letting a secret slip out into the light. It reveals that he feels safe, that he feels drawn, that he feels something deeper than he's used to admitting. The lingering is not about time, it's about permission. Permission to feel, permission to connect, permission to exist in closeness without retreating. And in that suspended moment, when he doesn't pull away right away, when he lets silence wrap around you both as gently as his arms do, his hidden emotions speak more clearly than words ever could. There is a kind of promise that is never spoken, never written, never formally given, yet somehow felt more deeply than any vow ever declared aloud. It exists in the quiet language of touch, especially when it comes from someone who rarely allows themselves to be emotionally visible. An avoidant man does not easily offer closeness, so when he does, when his hands rest gently against you and his arms hold you with quiet intention, there is meaning woven into that contact that goes far beyond the surface. His touch becomes a message, a confession, a vow his voice may never be brave enough to say. For most people, a hug is a simple act of affection. For him, it is a doorway. The moment his fingers settle against your back or his palm rests softly near your shoulder, he is allowing you to feel something he usually keeps hidden even from himself. Avoidant hearts are cautious by nature. They protect their emotions the way someone might protect a fragile flame from the wind. So when he chooses to let his guard lower, even slightly, that choice carries sincerity. His touch is not casual because he is not casual with his feelings. There is a softness in the way he holds you, a quiet steadiness that feels almost protective. Not possessive, not overwhelming, just present. It's the kind of touch that doesn't demand attention yet somehow holds it completely. His hands don't wander, don't fidget, don't rush. They stay where they are, calm and certain, as if they've found a place they recognize even if his mind hasn't fully understood why. In that stillness, his emotions breathe freely, no longer confined behind the careful distance he usually keeps. What makes it feel like a promise is the intention behind it. He may not say he will stay. He may not declare how much you matter. But when his touch is gentle instead of guarded, when it lingers instead of withdrawing, when it feels sincere rather than automatic, it carries a quiet assurance that his heart is beginning to anchor itself to yours. It suggests that somewhere deep within him, beyond the fears and the walls and the instinct to retreat, he is allowing himself to care without resistance, allowing himself to feel without escape, allowing himself to remain close without immediately searching for distance.